This page documents notable tornadoes and tornado outbreaks worldwide in 2001. Strong and destructive tornadoes form most frequently in the United States, Bangladesh, and eastern India, but they can occur almost anywhere under the right conditions. Tornadoes also develop occasionally in southern Canada during the northern hemisphere's summer and somewhat regularly at other times of the year across Europe, Asia, and Australia. Tornadic events are often accompanied with other forms of severe weather, including strong thunderstorms, strong winds, and hail. January. There were 4 tornadoes confirmed in the United States in January. January 19th. 4 minor tornadoes were caused by a bow echo in Georgia and Alabama. 4 people were injured by an F0 tornado near Montgomery, Alabama. 8 more were injured when another F0 struck a shopping center near Hartsfield International Airport. 2 other tornadoes in Georgia rated F0 and an F1 caused negligible damage and no injuries. February. There were 30 tornadoes confirmed in the United States in February. February 16th. An F2 tornado touched down near Goodman, Mississippi, damaging cabins, downing trees, and tossing vehicles. 1 woman was crushed to death by her car after abandoning it for a ditch considered better shelter from a tornado than a vehicle. 4 F0 tornadoes also occurred, with no injuries. February 24-25. A moderate tornado outbreak affected several southern U.S. states. A line of tornado-producing supercells formed out in front of a squall line which produced damaging winds. Over 10 hours, multiple tornadoes touched down and caused $35 million in damage, primarily in Arkansas and Mississippi. The outbreak began on the 24th, and multiple tornadoes began touching down in Arkansas that evening. An F2 tornado that impacted the towns of Sweet Home and College Station, destroying homes, mobile homes, and a church. The tornado downed many trees and power lines and injured 8 people. Another F2 tornado near Union heavily damaged a dairy barn and the roofs of several homes. Many trees were downed, and 3 mobile homes were destroyed, resulting in a fatality and 3 injuries. An F3 tornado touched down near Reed and moved northeast. Roofs were damaged at several homes. In addition, the tornado rolled a 500-gallon butane tank, damaged or destroyed metal barns and sheds, and knocked down hundreds of trees. Near the town of Kelso, the tornado completely destroyed a metal farm shop, and pieces of debris from the structure were found 6 miles away. Also near the shop, a pickup truck was mangled with several large farm implements thrown, overturned, or destroyed. A tractor trailer was flipped before the tornado dissipated near Snow Lake. Tornado activity began to spread into Mississippi later that night, and an F3 tornado caused major damage near Greenwood. Another F3 tornado touched down near Bruce before moving east and slamming into Pontotoc, where major damage occurred. At least 360 homes, 15 businesses, and 2 churches were damaged or destroyed in Pontotoc. Among the homes destroyed was a restored antebellum plantation home listed in the National Register of Historic Places. Numerous trees and power lines were blown down. 6 people were killed in town, and 43 others were injured. The tornado then struck Baldwin, where 100 homes were damaged or destroyed, and the Baldwin High School, which lost the roof to its gymnasium. Past Baldwin, the tornado struck Guntown, where 8 homes and 1 business were heavily damaged, while 13 other structures were damaged. Lesser damage occurred in Saltillo and Wheeler before the tornado dissipated. Additional weak tornadoes occurred in Tennessee on the 25th before the event came to an end. Overall, the outbreak produced 25 tornadoes and killed 7 people. March. There were 30 confirmed tornadoes in the United States in March. March 12-13. A small progressive tornado outbreak stretched from Texas to Georgia. At 3:30 a.m., an F1 tornado touched down outside of Tatum, Texas, moving into the town and causing damage to several structures. 2 F0 tornadoes were reported later in the morning in and around Kentwood, Louisiana. 9 more weak tornadoes struck southern Mississippi that morning, 2 of which injured 7 and 5 people in Lamar County and Forest County, respectively. In the afternoon, an F1 tornado destroyed several mobile homes in Red Level, Alabama, killing 2 people and injuring another. Another F1 tornado also destroyed mobile homes near Boykin, Georgia later in the afternoon, injuring 2 people. After midnight, 3 tornadoes touched down in extreme northern Florida, including an F2 tornado in Hamilton County and an F1 tornado which injured 5 people and caused $5 million in damage to Daytona Beach. March 15th. A small outbreak of 7 tornadoes struck northern Florida and southern Georgia between 4:30 and 8:30 a.m. An F2 tornado struck a residential area near Wausau, Florida at 4:30 a.m., killing 1 person and injuring 21. Another 2 F2 tornadoes hit further north near Round Lake and Kennard, causing minimal damage. Yet another 2 F2 tornadoes injured 13 in Decatur and Grady counties in Georgia. March 29. A small outbreak struck northern Florida on the morning. 2 F2 and 4 F0 tornadoes injured 1 person and caused a few $1 million in damage. April. There were 111 tornadoes confirmed in the United States in April. April 6. An F2 tornado injured 2 in the southwestern corner of Kansas. April 9. A small F2 tornado touched down near Lowellville, Ohio. 2 F0 tornadoes struck Pennsylvania, and 1 F0 tornadoes occurred in north-central Illinois. No significant damage or injuries were reported with any of these tornadoes. April 1011. Main article April 1011, 2001 tornado outbreak. An extended tornado outbreak consisting of 97 tornadoes struck the central Great Plains. The outbreak killed 4 and injured 18, and occurred in 3 stages. It began when a strong area of storms moved across eastern Kansas and adjacent Missouri on the afternoon of the 10th. One supercell passed over northern St. Louis producing 10 tornadoes, one of which rated F1 destroyed a mobile home, killing 1 and injuring 2. Tornadoes occurred as far east as southwestern Illinois, but the supercell is more memorable for exceptionally widespread large hail. With some hailstones up to baseball size, the swath is the largest continuous in aerial coverage and longest in length and duration of very large hail known. Because of the extensive area and heavily populated areas impacted, it is the costliest hailstorm in U.S. history, with $2 billion of insured losses. The next stage of the outbreak was a swarm of tornadoes which formed on the night of the 10th into the pre-dawn hours of the 11th in Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska. 1 person was killed and 11 were injured in this stage, mostly by F2 tornadoes. After a short break, a third bunch of tornadoes were spawned in and close to the state of Iowa in the late morning through the afternoon. Mostly weaker tornadoes, there were a few significant tornadoes. 1, rated F2, destroyed a lodge in the town of Agency, killing 2 people and injuring 3. All told, more than $23 million in damage was attributed to the entire outbreak. April 14-15. A few tornadoes touched down in Kansas and Missouri late on the 14th into the early morning of the 15th. Just after midnight, an F1 tornado touched down near Reddings Mill, Missouri, damaging several homes and flipping over a trailer, injuring 1 person. April 1011. An outbreak of 11 tornadoes hit central Kansas. While mainly most were weak, 1 was violent enough to be rated F4, and struck without a tornado warning being issued. Touching down just outside Hoisington, it tore a 2-block-wide path through the north and west sides of town, completely destroying almost 200 homes and businesses and damaging another 230. The roof of the local hospital was partially torn off, and vehicles were tossed and mangled. The tornado caused $43 million in damage. 28 people were injured, and 1 man was killed by a flying vehicle. This outbreak also included an F2 tornado which heavily damaged 2 farms, and 10 scattered F0 tornadoes. Additionally, a rare tornado struck the 3-state junction area of California, Arizona, and Nevada, crossing the Colorado River and causing minimal damage. April 1011. 2 minor tornadoes touched down in Nebraska. An F1 tornado injured a man outside of Blair. April 1011. 2 minor tornadoes again touched down, this time in Iowa. 1, rated F1, injured 3 people and damaged dozens of homes in Independence. April 1011. 3 F0 tornadoes produced little or no damage in Iowa. May. There were 132 tornadoes confirmed in the United States in May. May 1st. 10 tornadoes touched down in Minnesota and Wisconsin. 1, and F2, damaged 100 homes in Glenville, Minnesota, resulting in $20 million in damage. May 4th. Several weak tornadoes struck northern Texas and central Oklahoma, injuring 4 people. Another mini outbreak of 7 F0 tornadoes touched down in extreme southeastern Nebraska and northwestern Missouri, causing minimal damage and no injuries. May 9th. A small tornado outbreak passed mostly over open fields in Minnesota. One tornado did cause significant damage. One man was injured, and at least 30 structures were damaged or destroyed, resulting in 20 million of damage. May 1st. A number of tornadoes, some significant, touched down across central Iowa. Although more than 300,000 in damage was done, there were no injuries. May 15th. A small local outbreak of 8 F0 tornadoes hit northwestern Minnesota, causing minimal damage and no injuries. May 1st. A moderate outbreak of tornadoes stretched across much of Kansas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. Mostly minor, there was one significant F2 tornado near Dustin, Oklahoma. May 21st. Another moderate outbreak occurred, mainly on the lower peninsula of Michigan. A few also occurred in eastern Ohio, and one in West Virginia. An F2 touched down in Heartland, Michigan, and caused significant damage to the town, mostly to hundreds of damaged and totaled vehicles. This tornado also destroyed a towing company and damaged a manufacturing plant to the north. 3 people were injured by this tornado. 3 others were injured in 3 separate F1 tornadoes in Elwell, Michigan, Shepherd, Michigan, and Canton, Ohio. The outbreak caused more than 7 million in damage. May 27th. A small group of touchdowns occurred over western Kansas. Additionally, 4 tornadoes, one significant, struck the mid-Atlantic states, including an F2 tornado which caused 1 million in damage north of Manalapan, New Jersey. May 28th. A stationary supercell dropped large amounts of rain and hail near Ellicott, Colorado, as well as 4 brief tornadoes. May 29th. A moderate tornado outbreak hit the southwestern Great Plains, mainly in the form of F0 tornadoes in Colorado, Kansas, and the Texas Panhandle. One supercell produced 6 weak landspouts and a large F3 tornado near Lamar, Colorado. The Lamar tornado completely destroyed a modular home and 5 vehicles in its vicinity, and damaged 2 other homes nearby. 11 power poles were destroyed as well. Another F3 destroyed a home and an office building near Panhandle, Texas. The only casualty from this outbreak was from a large F1 tornado which blew over a semi-truck outside of Quanah, Texas, badly injuring the driver. In Poland, one F2 tornado touched down in Podhale region, and damaged 144 buildings in Maroczna and Bielanka, now Targ County. May 31st. 4 tornadoes touched down in Tennessee and extreme southern Kentucky. One F2 tornado destroyed several structures, killing 1 person and injuring 2 people in Auburntown, Tennessee. One of the injuries was to a pregnant woman, who also lost her baby. June. There were 134 tornadoes confirmed in the United States in June. June 1st. An outbreak of 18 tornadoes struck the state of Iowa. Additionally, an F1 tornado injured 3 people in Manola, North Carolina. June 2nd. Puerto Rico. An F2 tornado hit London, Kentucky, causing major damage to shopping centers, vehicles, and mobile homes, injuring 10 people. June 1st. A rare Puerto Rico tornado touched down in Osco. No injuries were reported, but several roofs were detached. Additionally, a small outbreak of 6 tornadoes struck open country in south-central Kansas, causing very minor damage and no injuries. June 5th. Another minor outbreak, mainly consisting of landspouts, occurred over northwestern Texas and south-central Kansas. Minor damage to farm equipment was the only loss from the 17 confirmed tornadoes. June 7th. An F1 tornado blew a tree down onto a truck in Zachary, Louisiana, killing the driver. June 9th. A slew of minor tornadoes caused little damage and minor injuries in the northern Great Plains. Citation needed. June 1st. A minor outbreak produced 19 tornadoes in Minnesota and Wisconsin. The most notable of these was a large F2 tornado which struck Benson, Minnesota, injuring 7 people, 1 critically, and causing 10 million in damage. In an unrelated storm system, a man was killed in his living room by a tree blown down by an F0 tornado in Jacksonville, Florida. June 1st. The remnants of Tropical Storm Alice in 2001 produced 10 tornadoes in South Carolina and Georgia, all weak and brief in duration. 22 other very weak tornadoes were reported across the northern Great Plains as well. June 1st. A fairly large tornado outbreak of mostly weak tornadoes occurred in the Central Plains. However, 4 of the tornado were strong to violent. A destructive F3 tornado passed near Parkers Prairie, Minnesota. Many irrigation systems were overturned, trees, power poles, and lines were snapped, and grain bins destroyed by the strong wind. An estimated 100 poles were broken off, leaving nearly 1,100 people without power. Several farmsteads were heavily damaged or destroyed in the area, and 3 people were injured. A large and slow-moving F4 tornado occurred near Ruby, Nebraska. The tornado destroyed an entire farmstead, along with several propane and anhydrous ammonia tanks. Several vehicles were tumbled and tossed into a field across from the farmhouse. Barns, machine sheds, and outbuildings were destroyed as well. An F2 tornado near Flensburg, Minnesota tore the roof off of a house and destroyed several outbuildings. A large half-mile-wide tornado also touched down near Brainerd, Minnesota. The tornado tore roofs off houses and blew out exterior walls. Pole barns and sheds were destroyed, and windows were blown out. Thousands of trees were knocked down, and 41 head of livestock were killed as well. The Brainerd tornado was rated F2. Overall, the outbreak produced 36 tornadoes. June 18. Main article, June 18, 2001, tornado outbreak. 3 people were killed, with 16 injured, by an F3 tornado in Wisconsin. It first caused severe damage as a mile-wide tornado in the town of Cypress, where it destroyed 200 homes. The 3 deaths occurred in Dewey Township, where many homes destroyed. About 14,000 acres, 57 square kilometers of trees were downed along its 30-mile path. June 1. An isolated supercell produced 3 tornadoes in Connecticut. The first, rated F1, hit a golf course in the town of Washington, demolishing a storage building and a tennis court, and injuring 1 person. The second tornado, rated F2, touched down in Torrington near Torrington Middle School, damaging the roof and destroying bleachers and a storage shed. Finally, an F0 tornado produced minor damage to the East Heartland Fire Station. July. There were 28 tornadoes confirmed in the United States in July. July 6. Main article, 2001, Myrtle Beach tornadoes. 2 tornadoes struck the Myrtle Beach, South Carolina area. The first tornado was rated F1 and crossed U.S. Route 17 in North Myrtle Beach only on the ground for 0.1 miles. The second tornado moved slowly down the beach, alternately moving on and offshore several times, and causing significant damage, including blown-out windows, tipped-over buses, and damaged roofs and utility poles. 39 people received minor injuries from the second tornado, which was rated F2. July 17. A few weak tornadoes touched down in Minnesota and Nebraska. A lone F2 tornado caused $1.5 million in damage on a 29-mile path through North Dakota, but no injuries were reported. July 18. A moderate outbreak of weak tornadoes occurred across the Dakotas and Minnesota. Aside from an F3 tornado near Pekin, North Dakota, and an F2 in south of Bodle, South Dakota, no significant damage was reported. July 24. An F1 tornado tracked 16 miles 26 kilometers across northeastern Maine, damaging a large area of trees as well as some buildings and cars in and around Oakfield. August. September. There were 9 tornadoes confirmed in the United States in September. September 24. 6 tornadoes struck in and around the D.C. metro area, 2 of which were significant. The first, a destructive F4 tornado, touched down in Culpeper County near Rixieville, completely destroying a brick home, then destroying several mobile homes, injuring 2. In Jeffersonton, it damaged or destroyed a dozen structures. It passed into Fauquier County, damaging a large forested area and a barn. Another tornado passed through densely populated areas in Fairfax and Arlington counties into Washington, D.C., causing F1 damage. Shortly afterwards, the worst tornado of the outbreak touched down from the same supercell in northern D.C., near Children's Hospital. This tornado was a large multiple vortex tornado, but caused no major damage until it reached Hyattsville. From there, it rapidly strengthened, causing F3 damage as it approached the University of Maryland Western Campus. There, 48 people were injured by flying debris. Additionally, 2 women were killed when the car they were in was thrown over an 8-story building into a wooded area. The tornado then turned into a residential area, causing major damage, and approached I-95. Miraculously, even though there were thousands of cars in traffic on the highway, only 1 truck was flipped over. Continuing north-northeast, the tornado continued to cause significant damage to trees, residences, and other structures, including the National Agricultural Research Center and several schools, before finally lifting in Howard County, near Columbia. This tornado caused $100 million in damage. Another tornado caused F2 damage in Pennsylvania, and other touchdowns occurred in New York and North Carolina. In all, the outbreak of 9 tornadoes caused more than $105 million in damage, killed 2 people, and injured 59. October. There were 55 tornadoes confirmed in the United States in October. October 9th. An unusual October tornado outbreak occurred across the Great Plains states, mainly in Oklahoma and Nebraska. A large multiple vortex F3 tornado caused considerable damage near Polk, Nebraska, and blew a farmhouse off its foundation into some nearby trees. An F2 tornado near Fullerton tore the roof off of a house and destroyed 2 metal outbuildings. In Oklahoma, a destructive F3 tornado ripped directly through the town of Cordell, where major damage occurred and 9 people were injured. 447 homes were damaged, 132 of which were left uninhabitable. 40 businesses were damaged as well, 22 of which were left uninhabitable. Some of the homes in town were leveled, and an F4 rating was considered, though it was later determined that these homes were not well built. The Cordell tornado caused $100 million in damage. Another F3 tornado touched down near Elk City and moved east through rural areas. Fences and trees were knocked down, and a brick home was left with only a few interior walls standing. Yet another F3 tornado passed near Mountain View, flattening a diesel shop, an unanchored home, a barn, a garage, and an old schoolhouse near the beginning of the path. Several vehicles and pieces of farm equipment were tossed and destroyed in that area as well. Further along the path, a farm was leveled and 3 homes sustained major damage. A 10,000-gallon diesel tank was thrown a quarter-mile nearby. The tornado dissipated after injuring 1 person. Overall, the outbreak produced 30 tornadoes. October 24th. 25 tornadoes broke out in southern Lower Michigan, northern Indiana, and northwestern Ohio. The strongest tornado was an F3 that struck western St. Joseph County, Indiana. The outbreak was caused by an extremely deep low-pressure system that was detected as early as Saturday, October 20th, moving in on the coast of California. The Storm Prediction Center was already predicting a chance of thunderstorms on Wednesday. The area forecast discussion started mentioning a severe potential on Tuesday, also mentioning severe storms with large hail and damaging winds possible. By the morning of October 24th, the SPC was on its highest alert after issuing a high risk for severe weather for Indiana, Middle Kentucky, eastern Illinois, southern Michigan, and western Ohio. The surrounding area was in a slight risk. At 5 a.m., a severe weather outlook was issued highlighting the fact that the area was under a high risk as well as a possibility of tornadoes. By 11:30 a.m., the SPC issued a public severe weather outlook calling for intense tornadoes in the area. 15 minutes later, the SPC issued a tornado watch for northern Indiana and northwestern Ohio. The watch was a PDS of particularly dangerous situation. At around 12:30 p.m., a line of storms began forming in central and eastern Illinois and moved east. The town of Monticello, Illinois was struck by an F2 tornado, where homes and businesses were severely damaged. At around 3:12 p.m., a tornado warning was issued for LaPorte County. This tornado killed a 50-year-old woman when her modular home was swept away near LaPorte. At 3:15, another tornado watch was issued for southern Michigan. At 3:46, another tornado warning was issued for St. Joseph County, Indiana, and southeastern Berrien County, Michigan, and Cass County. A few minutes later, the strongest of the outbreak, rated F3, touched down and did major damage to buildings in Crumstown, a town near South Bend. The line moved into South Bend at exactly 4:05 p.m., producing 89 miles per hour, 140 kilometers per hour winds at the airport. The tornado that hit Crumstown later hit Niles and Berrien County, then moved east-northeast into Cass County and dissipated in northwestern St. Joseph County, Michigan. 2 people were injured by the Crumstown tornado, and 1 man later died of his injuries. The storms prompted tornado warnings in Kalamazoo and Calhoun counties, and skies reportedly turned very green as the storms approached. The storms caused major damage to the Schoolcraft area of Kalamazoo County, where straight-line winds in excess of 120 miles per hour reported, causing a golf dome to blow away, ripping the roof off a house, ripping the front wall of a brick house off, and twisting irrigation sprinkler systems. Strong winds were also reported in the city of Kalamazoo. In Calhoun County, strong straight-line winds also struck near Teconcha, causing damage. Other weaker tornadoes touched down in Mishawaka and moved northeast into Elkhart County. In Elkhart County, one of two separate tornadoes hit a toll road maintenance building and the other briefly touched down in the Cobus Green trailer court to the south, doing some damage to a few trailers. Another tornado damaged a trailer in a house in Marshall County and moved east into Kosciuszko County and dissipated in Noble County. This particular tornado was photographed by meteorologists as it came near their forecast office in North Webster. Prior to the photo being taken, the tornado had a factory on the north side of Warsaw, Indiana. Later in the evening, the severe storm produced straight-line winds through the campus of Michigan State University, downing many trees and damaging buildings. The National Weather Service estimates most of the downbursts through East Lansing were between 60 to 80 miles per hour, with one reaching 120 miles per hour, 190 kilometers per hour. The supercell that passed through East Lansing also spawned two tornadoes in the Saginaw area. By 5:30 p.m., the severe weather moved out of Indiana and into Ohio, where damage was not as severe. One tornado was reported in Ohio, an F3 tornado that moved from Paulding County into Putnam County. That tornado caused major structural damage to buildings near Fort Jennings, Ohio. The severity of the activity began to wane later that evening. By 7:30, all severe weather watches were discontinued. November. There were 69 tornadoes confirmed in the United States in November. November 23-24. A powerful storm system on November 23-24 produced a series of strong tornadoes across the southern United States. Multiple supercell thunderstorms developed and produced numerous tornadoes. Some of these tornadoes were strong/violent and were long-tracked. A total of 13 people were killed. This is one of the most intense fall tornado outbreaks on record. December. There were no tornadoes confirmed in the United States in December. December 26th. Main article: Sydney to Hobart Yacht Race Waterspout. A waterspout hit several yachts during the Sydney to Hobart Yacht Race. No major injuries were reported, but several boats had to drop out of the race due to damage from the waterspouts and golf ball-size hail.